Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about volumes 23 and 24 of the Vinland Saga manga. And, well, before we get into anything else this week, I would like to announce that this episode is James's and my 100th episode together.
Hooray!
That's combining our 63 episodes of Umami Manga and our 37 episodes of Titan Tea Time. So, yeah, this feels really good. And here's to another 100 episodes together.
Happy 100th podcast-versary, Petter.
Likewise, James. It's great. I honestly, I don't know. It doesn't feel like that much to me, but I guess, I mean, it is. Obviously, like, I know it is because I have counted them. but yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, to think that we've sat down and and you have edited at least 100 episodes is insane to me. It just happens over time. You look back when we did like 10 episodes, Titan Tea Time. You would never think, are we ever gonna hit that much? That's so far away. Would we even still be doing it? But here we are, 100 episodes later. And it seems now that we're that far, it almost is like a blur.
Honestly,
But I still remember those days, of having to wait a week to talk about a new manga, or not just a week, just wait months before we got to, talk about the next volume or something like that. And it's still happening now. So,
yes.
100 episodes in, but the wait is still rough sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely can be. And it makes me wonder how many hours are there online of us talking about manga now. Like 100 episodes. That's like maybe 150 or more than 150 hours probably.
All the content you need.
So yeah, there's plenty.
I wonder if there's anybody. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I wonder if there's anybody out there who's actually gone through and listened to every episode, through Titan Tea Time, through Umami Manga. And if you have, congratulations, you're a number one fan. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh,
we love you.
If that person exists,
it's me. I've listened to every single podcast.
Wow. We are our own biggest fans.
Yeah, it's true. But Petter, you've edited the episodes, so technically you've listened to every single one.
Oh my gosh. I absolutely have. But yeah, anyway, on top of that, this episode on Vinland Saga is when we're catching up with the physical releases, or the English physical releases of Vinland Saga. And we will, of course, continue to cover this series on the podcast. However, from now on, it's gonna be a while for the next one, and it's not gonna continue as steadily, obviously, since the plan is to cover each volume as they come out in English from here on out.
Speaking of waiting,
exactly.
Jeez.
So yeah, that's gonna be rough, especially since we've both really fallen in love with the series so much at this point. So
yeah,
it's definitely gonna be hard to wait for the next book, but. All things considered, it's a pretty great catch-up point, I think, that this book leaves us with. We're now right at the beginning of the actual Vinland Saga, I suppose, So yeah, it's all very exciting.
Yeah, just like you said, the cliffhanger is perfect, really, for this wait, because, they just set off on the voyage, and you just have Thorfinn's serious face.
Oh, yeah.
And
yes.
There's not much else to... I mean, yeah, we know they're heading to Vinland, and we have ideas of what I guess could potentially happen, but it's not, someone is going to kill someone or someone's overboard or, there's a lot to be left to the imagination of what could happen next.
Oh, yeah. So, without further ado, let's get into the characters. Thorfinn, I love how much Thorfinn was also blushing when he and Gudrid were about to have the love talk kind of at the beginning of the volume. He was blushing pretty much just as much as she was at the very beginning of before they started talking, basically. And I thought that was really cute, and it also, I think, indicated his feelings about the whole thing. So I thought that was great. And it turns out Thorfinn did indeed have romantic feelings for Gudrid as well. They even got married and everything in this book. A lot of things went down on that front.
Yeah.
Or at least,
yeah.
A lot of things have happened, but there is a lot that we haven't really gotten to see. And I was curious, kind of what's your what do you think of that choice that Yukimura did to basically leave us out of seeing basically the first 2 years of their relationship? What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, one, I thought it was almost slightly disappointing to not see Thorfinn and Gudrid for two whole years. Um, I I guess to say disappointing, it was more like funny, like ironic. The story just goes in kind of a different direction after you have like this huge confession and cliffhanger
Yeah.
of what he says or how he answers, and then we get a different story, a different side story, and then he comes back into the into the fold. But it almost is just not resolved. It has happened. So yeah, that was a bit disappointing. But also the fact that we don't see what actually went down on the journey, and I'm not just talking about romance, but
Right.
the Miklagard the escapades and how they got thrown into jail apparently, but we
Yeah.
never hear any more of that. And I guess that's comedic in its own sense
Mm.
that oh, they're about to explain this. Oh, let's not talk about that right now. We got other things to worry about. You know,
Right.
that kind of stuff. But I do agree that it did seem a little odd for him to well, odd's the wrong word. It's more like his choice was he doesn't want to focus on that escapade to that part of the world.
Mm.
He wanted to focus on the Nordic side, really.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so I guess I can respect that, and time is of the essence. I'm sure he's kind of running towards the finish line. Yukimura is so. There's only so
Mm.
much time you can spend on things. But that all being said, I kind of would have enjoyed I don't know, almost a honeymoon or a blossoming of their relationship, their love. Because
Mm.
I don't think Thorfinn necessarily would have been incredibly romantically interested in Gudrid. Like, I think something was there as indicated by, as you said, like the blushing and whatnot. And I
Mm.
think he was very, surprised that she would find him interesting.
Yeah. Right.
But
Yeah.
I think I would have liked to see that relationship grow, and it didn't seem like it was at that point where they could just be in a relationship.
Yeah. Well, so I actually sort of obviously this is I guess it could be classified as headcanon, but I kind of thought about because we understand that Thorfinn, well, he kind of sees himself as too bad of a person to be kind of to be worthy of having a happy relationship, kind of. And obviously, he's still struggling with that even after he and Gudrid are officially together, and we get to see that. But I had a thought that, like, up until the point before they do get together and they have that talk that we don't get to see the ending of,
hmm
I imagine it's possible that up until that point, he was kind of repressing those feelings of potential
Oh,
love for Gudrid because he well, didn't think he deserved any of that. And like he kind of forced those feelings away from himself, even though maybe he deep down did feel those types of things for her.
interesting.
Obviously, I can't prove it or anything, but I do like to think of it that way because, I mean, by the time when we see them 2 years later, they're very much like very comfortable and romantically invested in each other.
Yeah. No, that's a definitely a great way to think about it. I didn't me myself I didn't put it into that sort of situation, but
Hmm.
I could definitely see that being the case. Although I don't think I'm gonna necessarily call that headcanon for me, but I think it's a good possibility.
Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so.
But I think what I wanted to see and expected to see was a kiss of some kind, you
Mm.
know? Like that was it just felt like that you're a married couple, you have a wedding day and maybe that's not Viking tradition or Nordic tradition. I don't know. But
Mm.
yeah, it almost felt like a cop out not to have any sort of romantic moment like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I do know what you mean. I'm still holding out
yeah.
hope to see it coming. Maybe in the next book.
Yeah, maybe he's holding back for more towards the end of the story or something like that. Maybe there's some grand moment he has planned
Mm,
for
yeah.
that. I don't know. I mean, I feel like wedding day would be a pretty big moment, but
Fair.
whatever.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like seeing a tender, loving moment between the two of them, where they really show those types of emotions toward one another. Like more so, I think, than we have seen. I think, well, the scene that when they were, well, when Gudrid woke Thorfinn up from his nightmare, I think she showed some of that pretty nicely in that scene, but we didn't see a lot of it really from Thorfinn's side. But
yeah,
I'd love to see it, more of it later.
Yeah. Eh, Have they like gone all the way as a couple?
Oh,
I don't even know. Like, sure, they're sleeping in the same bed, but Carly is there. Like, it seems like they sleep with Carly on a regular basis. So it's like, are they just sleeping buddies? Is that what this relationship, the extent of? I mean, that's fine. Like, they can do whatever they want. It's their lives.
Right, for sure.
But I was just curious. It's like, where are we exactly in this relationship?
Yeah. I mean, the thought did cross my mind, considering they have been together for 2 years now, actually 3 years now, since a year passes after they get to Iceland. And yeah, I don't know. Obviously, to each their own, and all relationships are different. But I just feel like it is kind of normal or regular for a couple who has been together for that long. It's pretty regular for them to have had sex. And I mean, I could imagine maybe they could have done it even with Carly there, because I mean, he's so little, like he doesn't understand what's going on. If they would, who, like, he wouldn't understand. Like, no, he's a baby, or especially, or he
of
has.
Of course, he's a baby. Well, yeah. I almost wonder if Yukimura's like, it's none of your business. Like, don't worry about it.
That's fair too. Yeah.
Which is like, okay, fair enough. But, and it's not like I'm expecting any sort of scene like that, but it's more so, and how would you indicate? I mean, there's ways to hint at it and whatnot, but I guess that's not this kind of story. But the fact that we haven't even seen a kiss just kind of makes me like, like if there was like a tender, like a kiss of some kind, and like, I guess they've had an embrace, but it does seem kind of almost one-sided in a way. Not that I think Thorfinn doesn't have romantic feelings for her, but it does seem that he's maybe holding back a little bit.
I think he definitely is, because he's not. Well, he doesn't feel like he's worthy of it. Like, he doesn't deserve being that happy. In that kind of way.
So that's why I think, like, maybe there hasn't been the next step in their relationship, because he just doesn't feel good about that. But Gudrid's fine with that. Like, that's not really on her mind. She just wants to be with him. And maybe that's where their relationship is right now. Not to say that as soon as he forgives himself, like, something's happened. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying maybe that's a reasoning behind it. But regardless, I would like to see a kiss. I'm just digging myself a hole.
Thorfinn suddenly has that nightmare again, but like, for some reason, like, he is able to climb all the way up, and then he wakes up from the dream. He turns to Gudrid and he's like, "Time to go to Pound Town."
Oh my god! Well, look, she did say she would help him in his dream, right? So just say it.
No, but I jokes aside, I do like that idea that you suggested about the both of them. They actually haven't gone all that way because of Thorfinn's circumstances. I could see that being a thing, because his situation is pretty special, like so it's I could definitely see that being a possibility.
I could be totally wrong. I could be totally wrong on this whole thing. But I do think it's weird that we haven't seen the kiss. That's where I'll end it. That's where it ends for now.
All right then. And for me, on the whole topic of Yukimura basically having skipped over their first 2 years of their relationship, as well as the visit to Miklagard, I am a bit torn on it. I do think it would have been nice to have seen all of that stuff. Like, I think for their relationship, like, the first 2 years of most relationships is I think usually a very crucial time between lovers. So I guess in that sense, that's something I would have enjoyed to see, perhaps, as well as, I mean, I think I probably said before, I was excited to see Miklagard properly, not just like a little flashback like we got here. But while I was excited about all those things, at the same time, I kind of ultimately trust Yukimura enough to understand that perhaps there wasn't anything there that would have contributed enough to the story, like overall. Like maybe there wasn't anything crucial from that, like from those 2 years, that would have given the story more meaning, really.
Oh well, that's his decision to make. He could make something meaningful happen there to the story, but he didn't. So, and I'm not heartbroken by it. Like we're at a point in the story where things are still exciting. We're going into the next point. We're getting to Vinland faster. So
Yeah.
I think in the end it totally works.
Yeah, I do I do think so too. Plus, the fact that even for us readers, like we didn't see Thorfinn and the gang for some time, even here, like in the book. So like their return to Iceland, I felt like to me felt great to see them again. Obviously, 2 years had passed real time, but and for us it had only been a couple chapters, but it was still the fact that we didn't see them for a while was still well, I still think it had a pretty good effect for their return.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So yeah, ultimately, I am not upset really.
So you mentioned the dream that he had, or the nightmare that's still haunting him,
Mm.
and I feel like, I mean, there's some other conflicts that are a brewing, but that seems to be the one that's persisted throughout. Well, really, from the end of season one, the end of the first arc, the prelude,
Mm.
till now, these dreams have persisted, and kind of the true antagonist is his own mental health,
Right.
if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm hoping, or I'm expecting by the end, he conquers that, and that's going to be kind of the true piece for him. I don't know how he does it exactly and how it's going to be portrayed, but I do feel that it's building up for him to finally discover happiness,
Yeah.
or at least acknowledge that he can be happy.
Absolutely. I think that once he physically reaches Vinland, and once they are able to create a good and prospering society there, I think that is going to help him a lot once he reaches that point.
If they can.
Uh,
If they can.
true. If they can, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. Going to be so exciting. I love how in the scene where Halfdan came back to, or he came to the house to get Cordelia back, we
Mm-hmm.
got a taste of, well, we did get a little taste of Thorfinn, like what he was like as a merchant, since we did, obviously that whole thing was cut out as we were talking about, but we did at least get a little taste of that as what he has learned really over those past 2 years. And so I thought it was really cool to see all that, and like, yeah, what he learned in Midgard and what we didn't get to see there.
Yeah, that was cool to see his growth in that sense.
Yeah, he really is a trader now, like a merchant.
Yeah.
It's cool. And that is actually what the historical Thorfinn was kind of known as. Other than being an explorer who did things, he was known as like a well off like merchant kind of.
Hmm.
Thorfinn Thordarson.
Was there any sort of indication of Thorfinn's backstory that Yukimura has created whatsoever, or do the history books just say he was a wealthy merchant and an explorer?
The whole like warrior and slave parts, I don't think there's any historical records about any of that.
Gotcha.
I mean, there isn't much really on him.
I mean, I'd be
So,
surprised, yeah,
right, yeah,
if there was much details, but
yeah. No, there isn't much detail. I know that, well, he and Gudrid did historically get married, and
oh,
so yeah, I did have that
you
spoiler
knew
from
the whole
beginning.
time.
Yes. And I remember when I read about Gudrid, I think, well, Thorfinn was mentioned there obviously as well because they are married, or they were married, and that, well, yeah, and he was described as a well-mannered or something merchant or something like that.
A distinguished gentleman.
Yeah, something like that.
So we have Thorfinn and Gudrid. They were a canon couple in real history.
Mm.
What about Carly? Is Carly a real thing? A real person?
I don't think
Real
he is.
baby?
No.
Okay.
I know other things, but I don't think Carly is a historical thing.
Okay.
But yeah, yeah. Carly is great though. But I think we'll may touch on him individually a little later, actually.
Oh,
Just a
okay.
little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean, sure.
But Thorfinn and the others decided that swords
Yeah.
cannot be allowed on the ships to Vinland. Unlike other weapons, like swords are designed specifically for killing other humans. So I like that point that they how they came up with that rule. I guess I think it's fair, and it also I think holds a lot of weight in the story as a whole, and like it calls
Mm-hmm.
back obviously to Thor's saying about a true warrior needs no sword, and
Right.
I love how that was called back to in one of the panels when Ivar came to
Yes.
Thorfinn's house, and we saw that one panel from when Thor threw his sword into the water when
Yep.
he was encountering Askeladd. That was really nice.
Yeah. Gotta love those callbacks.
Mm.
But I agree. I respect that choice, and it's a smart choice. Or I say smart, but they do bring up some pretty good arguments against it. But I guess I mean it's a choice that makes sense if you're trying to create a place without violence, a place
Mm.
that there's no need to harm, and you have no enemies. All the other things they mentioned had a actual use. They were a tool for bettering their lives and making life possible, really.
Right.
But swords don't serve that purpose other than to fight. I guess they could be used as a hobby, of course, but their main purpose, like the reason they were created, was to fight.
Exactly, to fight other
So
people. Yeah, everything
yeah,
else is like hunting and like cutting wood and stuff like that. So
farming tools. And,
right,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's honestly not something I'd ever really thought about, like swords being like basically the only, weapon that is only a weapon. Like,
Uh,
that's pretty interesting.
oh, can I bring my flail?
Oh, okay, okay. I
I
guess there is some other things, but I
it's
guess
not a sword.
out of like the regular weapons, I should say. But yeah, no, you're right.
I'm just saying, if someone brings a scythe, watch out.
Yes.
Watch out. Oh, I'm just gonna, harvest the wheat with it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like axes and spears, they can be very
True.
efficient for killing people too.
Yeah, you're
To
right.
be fair,
You're right.
and obviously like bows and stuff like that too.
Yeah, but you need an axe. Like spears, I was kind of on.
Yeah,
I guess
for
maybe
killing
to
bears.
fish.
I think I
Oh,
think I think they said if a bear attacked, they would be good to have spears.
that's what Einar said, but I was like, I think we got Hild for that, so I think we're good. No.
But Einar is professor of the bears.
True. He knows all.
Yeah.
But no, but it's hard to build a village without an axe.
Yeah, that absolutely it is. But yeah, then obviously Thorfinn did come to the realization when he talked to Halfdan about, how he was able to justify not bringing swords of inland,
Right.
and how that is by making sure that all sides depend upon one another in some way, and by doing that, violence won't be in anybody's best interest. And I love how happy Thorfinn was after that in that scene. Like it was so fun to see him that way.
He's like, I'm brilliant.
Yeah.
I figured it all out.
Yes.
Yeah, peace through trading and dependency. Codependency. I like that. And in some ways, our society is like that now. Obviously, it's not completely like that, but we are a kind of global society in very ways. You
Right.
have any sort of conflict or issue that happens in one part of the world, and it affects the rest of the world in terms of goods and other means. So,
Right.
in that sense, that vision of having this codependency is very true. Not now, there's not peace everywhere, and of course, but I think for Thorfinn's mission, it fits perfectly. And I think back to some of the examples that you gave of what the Vikings were known for besides plundering and warfare. I think of the town at Normandy, or not the town, the settlement Normandy. Didn't they settled there? They probably maybe took it themselves. I don't know. I don't know the history behind that. But eventually they kind of assimilated into the French or into the local people. Correct?
I honestly I don't know too much about the Vikings' like dealings in France. To be fair, but I mean
Oh,
that sounds honestly it's I mean it makes sense.
I thought I was talking with you about it, but maybe I
oh,
read it in the book. Maybe you might have put
maybe.
it in one of his forewords
I mean, it makes sense given it
or
like similar things
afterwards.
happened in England where they obviously were as well, where obviously
Yeah.
since they were there for such a long time, languages, cultures, and just the people in general they began to mix over all of that time. So I imagine something
Yeah.
similar could have happened in France as well.
Yeah, so that's why I'm thinking that if this we have evidence of this in real history,
Hmm.
I've avoided looking, of the actual Vinland Saga and Thorfinn, just
Yes.
to keep from potential spoilers. But Thorfinn mentioning this idea makes me think maybe that it is possible that they can live in Vinland and then just, I guess, merge with the people and I guess eventually just kind of lose their culture. I guess I don't know,
Oh.
like simulate, because that's what happened to these other places. I feel like is that they simulated with the people until they were just they didn't have the Nordic blood really in them anymore.
Yeah, although there are at least in England there's still traces of the Nordic culture, even though
Mm.
it became England in the end. Like it didn't remain a Viking area, but there are, I mean, even to this day there's traces in the language and in the culture of the Viking days in England. But I mean you are right though that well just the mixing in general, like it was interesting because Thorfinn did bring up that idea that like ideally, we would start marrying between tribes
Hmm.
once we get to Vinland, and how that would be a beautiful thing. So yeah, like yeah, it's exciting it will be very exciting to see all that.
The caveat I bring to that is I've never heard about this like intermingling of you know different ethnicities. The
Mm.
Native Americans and or at least one of the tribes of Native America and um, I guess Nordic
Right.
people. Yeah, I've never heard about it. I feel like that would be brought up. Yeah, sure, we don't in America. Well, in the USA, we don't talk too much about Leif Erikson, and we definitely don't talk about Thorfinn. Like, I had no idea about him.
Fair. Yeah.
Um, so hey, maybe that means they never reached Vinland, which would be really sad. But no, um, I think if there were to have some sort of big mingling like that or merging, I feel like that would be brought up at some point and
Mm.
not be just lost to at least in our history textbooks. But I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
we've already talked about America's obsessions with, or I guess non-obsession with Leif Erikson. Let's just say.
Right. It's all about Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have anything else on Thorfinn though, but if you have anything more, shoot.
They plan on returning to Greenland and Iceland often. I remember him saying,
Yeah, yeah.
which to me it seems like such a tall task because my understanding of, for example, the pilgrims who came from England to settle in the colonies, it seemed like the trip going back and forth was harsh and extensive. But I guess then again, great figures. Well, but that was a few years later, like Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson. Like they would go back and forth between Europe and America often,
Yeah.
but they were rich, and maybe it was a few years after the first settlements. It was a few years after the first settlements, so I don't know. Um,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, plus it was like in the 1700s or so that was like way later in history.
right.
So
So it was just wouldn't like it be easier to travel to the New World than it would be in Thorfinn's time, or would just the Vikings just that's superior in terms of sailing?
well, I mean, I don't know about. I mean, I don't actually know. Like comparing like sailing capabilities and stuff like that. I can't really
Uh huh.
speak on that. However,
I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me if that
the
was the case.
I mean, maybe I don't know, but I do know. Obviously, well, we know that what route they're taking, or well, roughly anyway. You going, Iceland, Greenland, and then northern North America, and then kind of going down the coast. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
I don't know exactly what route they were taking, the Americans like in the 1700s, but like I imagine they may have just sailed straight over like across the Atlantic, making no stops anywhere, and obviously that would have made the trek harder with the fact, well, in the sense that it's just one continuous, just long trek from shore to shore. Meanwhile, here it's just kind of a little bit at a time, kind of, because
good point.
The journey, supposedly the journey from Greenland to North America is the same. Is roughly the same distance as the journey from Iceland to Greenland, which supposedly happens frequently. So
okay,
like, so I guess taking that northern route is simpler, and maybe, even though it was like hundreds of years later in history, they didn't really understand that, perhaps. In the 1400s when America was discovered by Christopher Columbus, and then in the 1700s when the USA was kind of founded. Like, maybe they still didn't really understand that taking the northern route was easier. Although maybe ultimately it wasn't, because they didn't want to go to Iceland or Norway. So like, since that wasn't their destination, maybe sailing straight across the sea, maybe that was ultimately better anyway. But it's still a longer voyage to sail across the Atlantic completely.
Right. When I read that in the thing, I didn't think about the fact that they were really just, hop, skip, jump it away from, certain points where they could potentially land and not be stuck on a boat for, I don't know how long it took from England to America, but I believe it was a few months.
Right, yeah, maybe like almost 2 months, maybe. I guess I don't want to make a statement on that.
Yeah, good
point. But yeah,
I take back what I said.
At least longer than 2 weeks, because
absolutely, there's no way it was 2 weeks.
Right, yeah, must have been much more than that. Like, because for Thorfinn, like for these people here, like taking Leif Erikson's route, no single trek or whatever is longer than 2 weeks, or well, give or take. So like that does make it easier than sailing straight across, which must be many more weeks than that. But yeah.
Sorry to go on that whole tangent, but it just
it's all good.
I guess it was just understanding, and it now makes sense that he would be able to make frequent visits to Greenland and Iceland when the needs be.
Right.
And then lastly, just that Thorfinn fan service, like in the final chapter where he's just like bathing outside, steam, and like super. It's like, wow, steamy, like
very steamy. Yes, yeah, that was great, and just that serious expression too, like, oof. He means business.
It's just so funny. It's just like, I don't know. It just seems like almost like it wasn't needed. But then other people are like, I beg to differ. So, that's fine. That's fine.
Absolutely fine, yeah. Very well. Let us move on to Gudrid next. I think Sigurd had her pretty much figured out when he said that she wasn't getting things resolved with Thorfinn because she was afraid of finding out. I'm pretty sure also that that's how she was feeling at the moment, and I think it's a very relatable fear, kind of. Like, I mean, I know I've definitely had that, like, felt that way before, so I thought that was, felt very realistic. But then she did take that big step to confront Thorfinn about it. Like, so awesome, so brave. I know I've said many times before how brave I think she is, but she really is a brave person in these very real instances, like in situations. It's not like, I don't know, doing some superhero kind of things. It's like more like these very real things that are relatable to us, like to anybody, like to take these steps that we all know is hard to take. Like, I love how that's largely kind of how she is depicted as a brave person.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. It takes a lot of guts to not only basically tell somebody you like them, but then go up to them later on and say, okay, let's have a talk.
Yeah.
Let's determine this relationship.
Right. Like, do you love me?
I
mean, to be fair, like, she was maybe a bit too pushy there, maybe. I don't know. Like, but I mean, I respect her for it so much anyway.
But talking about that, she didn't care about his past, because she knew who he was, but the only thing she cared about is if he loved her or not. So that's why I'm so upset we didn't get to reveal the answer. Not even a flashback to that moment.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's his choice. It still works out. They're still a great couple. Gudrid's awesome.
Yes.
Just would have been nice to see that. But I was like, ooh, wait, when this moment was happening, and butterflies and whatnot. And I like how she's like, what do you call it? A shirt? Whatever. She was holding on to her garment.
Right. Yeah.
When she was talking to Thorfinn, I thought that was very cute.
Yeah, it was such a tease when it just cut away from that. And we didn't see them for several chapters.
I honestly thought we would go back, maybe not to that exact point, but at least a point where we get that acknowledged. But nope, just as if we were there. Like, oh, you know what happened. No, I mean, yes, we kind of do, but anyway.
Yeah.
Her long hair is back after 2 years.
Yes.
Of course she was gonna let it grow. So that's great. I mean, I think she looks great in most any haircut. I'm not too picky about haircuts. I mean, granted, I'm not a huge fan of like buzz cuts. Not even for a guy. Like, I don't like buzz cutting my hair, but I don't really. I just don't. I like a little bit of hair, like a short hair. Anyway, why am I talking about my purposes? Please cut this. This is not me in there. Okay. Anyway, I think that Gudrid has a great hairstyle.
Yes. No, she does. And I also love it when she puts it up in a ponytail. I think it looks very good.
Ponytail supremacy!
It's great. I will say, I like a part of me though is still missing. I miss kind of the hair length that she had in Jomsborg. Like the length she had there, I think was really good on her.
I agree.
That said, though, I also love the way she looks right now. But
yeah, I agree. I definitely got used to it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and exactly that's kind of the thing. Whenever somebody gets a new haircut or a new hairstyle, like it's always a little bit jarring at first.
Yeah.
Or at least to me, it is usually. But then obviously you always get used to it eventually. But yeah, no, she looks great. She was worried a little bit that Hild would develop feelings for Thorfinn, at a part in this book, and she was even getting a little bit jealous of her, and I think that internal struggle of hers, it actually it reminded me of a saying that my father has, or that he says sometimes, which is, if you want to become unhappy, you should compare yourself to others. And I know it's easy to do that. It's very easy to start comparing yourself to others, but usually it's really just completely unnecessary, I think. And it usually shouldn't, you don't need to worry about those sorts of things most of the time. And I guess part of that, like what Gudrid, like what makes her feel so down in that moment is, well, it's not only the jealousy of or the potential that Hild might have feelings for Thorfinn, which I think she is worrying in vain there, but it was also, how Gudrid would, like, she felt like she couldn't contribute enough, like that Hild, she can do all these things, but Gudrid can't really do anything that Hild can also do. At least that's how she was feeling. But I think Gudrid's her strengths are more emotional, kind of like she can support the team by being there for them and genuinely caring for people in a very unique way, like we saw with how much she cared for Sigurd in the previous arc, even though she didn't love him, she didn't want to marry him or anything like that, but she still showed him a lot of compassion and care that I don't think most other characters would have shown. Plus, again, she's one of the bravest characters in the group, so I think she has some strengths that she's just not really seeing right now. So I look forward to following along with the story to see her come to terms with this eventually and feel better about herself.
Exactly. I think this is all a setup that Yukimura is building for Gudrid, for her to find her place, like to make herself feel useful. And not to say that she's not useful now, but I think we'll see her grow as a leader in a way.
Yeah,
an emotional kind of leader. Not to say like she cries for people. Like no.
No, I see. I understand though.
She helps people stay on the positive side, and she really helps support Thorfinn and the whole group. And not just like, oh, I'll be here for you, but actually maybe taking a leadership role. And we kind of see that already with her, telling people where to go on the ships and kind of making sure everyone knows what they're doing. So she definitely is useful. And I think she'll find something that really brings out her, I guess, talents eventually on this journey. I feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something that Hild just can't do, or at least that's not her forte.
Right, exactly. They have different strengths, and yeah, Gudrid will realize that, or yeah, she'd better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm super excited for that.
But that whole scene is pretty funny because eventually she just gets so, I guess, frustrated and jealous that she tackles Thorfinn and just starts like,
yes,
sniffing him up, like this is the good stuff.
Yeah, it calms her. That was very, very nice.
I also like how she's like, Hild won't be the one to kill you. I will. I am your wife. You can take that a few ways. But I think one way I took it is that, she's so jealous of Hild that even the idea of her being the one to kill Thorfinn is like, no, he's my man. I do that. Like what?
Yeah. I just think she was just, in that moment, she was just filled up with so many emotions. Like, obviously we had seen a lot of it been building up previously in the chapter about Hild and everything. But then there was also, like, she also just stood there watching Thorfinn deal with Ivar and those other guys, which was kind of, well, it was, well, a pretty hard thing to watch, perhaps. Followed by, like, right before that happened, Hild aimed her crossbow at Thorfinn. Like, there was a lot of just stress and just stress overall. I think that had just been building up within her in that moment, so she just needed to embrace him and be a little bit wild for a minute.
I mean, I guess so. I really think it comes down to her feeling inadequate.
Well, yes, that's definitely a big part of it. Yeah. But it was also just a stressful scene, I think, for her as well in general.
True. Yeah.
But yes.
And then I just like the line that Carly's just like, "Oh, look, they're hugging." Like, that was so funny.
Yeah, that was so cute.
So this could be a hint that maybe this isn't the first time that he's caught them hugging. You know what I mean?
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And so mommy and daddy have to explain it. Oh, we're just hugging. Yes. We just love each other very much. Oh, okay. Good hugging.
Just hugging. I love it.
Yeah. But so this is the second time that Gudrid kind of takes a deep smell of Thorfinn, or like sniffs him up. It happened earlier during his nightmare as well. But that scene, oh man, something about it. I felt jealous. Like, I was like, oh, freaking Thorfinn. I wish. It's like, why can't I have that? You know what I mean? Like, just like having some, like, an embrace of a loved one. Like, come on. That's like relationship goals.
Of course,
so,
of course.
I totally understand what Gudrid's going through in this jealousy. No, totally. But I did not expect it to become like her fetish, like not fetish, but like her thing. You know what I mean? Like the sniffing.
Oh, I mean, scents are powerful, man.
Totally, I get it.
Yeah.
But is it common for people just to start sniffing up?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I guess how common.
I guess I don't know.
But it is nice.
I mean, I have heard of like girls stealing their boyfriend's hoodie and they just sniff it and it's like, it smells like him,
Yeah, right.
That kind of thing. Anyway.
Yeah, that is nice.
I don't know.
But anything else on Gudrid?
I thought she looked gorgeous in the wedding attire.
Oh yes, she did. Yeah, she looked great. Thorfinn just looked normal. Like, he didn't dress up whatsoever. Why?
I mean, he's like, well, I don't know. Why bother? I mean, Thorfinn doesn't seem like the extra. I mean, not as Gudrid. So,
right?
Yeah. But were they really going to let her off without, dressing nice,
I guess.
Thorfinn, they probably just did that, like, he can do whatever he wants. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
It's an unfair world we live in, Petter.
It is. Yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, imagine all the people who wanted to see, dressed up Thorfinn. I feel sorry for those people. But at least they got naked Thorfinn, so I guess that's something.
Yeah, something for everybody.
You're right. Yeah. But yes. Is that all on her, though?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Then let's talk about Sigurd next. The MVP of Volume 23.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. At the start of this book, when he was taunting Gudrid, sort of, or he was kind of rubbing her the wrong way. I think
Yeah,
he did all that on purpose, just because.
absolutely.
I mean, but well, just because that was the easier way for him to kind of get the message across, because he couldn't, or he didn't feel comfortable probably saying it in like a kind way, but still, obviously, he did care clearly, and he wanted her to go after Thorfinn because
Right.
he understood at that point, and or at that point he wanted her to do what she wanted to do, and he just kind of put it in a way that he came off a bit harsh, but really he was just super sweet.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely a guy who tries to be tougher than he really is. He's not honest with himself, and really that's the same with his father, but we'll talk about that later.
Right.
It's really nice to see him kind of accept the more kind side of him, or, embrace that and allow Gudrid to go after someone that she actually is in love with. Let her be free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just fast forwarding to when he's talking with Halgerd, however it's supposed to be.
Halljärd. It's like the
Oh,
G makes a y sound. So Halljärd is how I would say it in Swedish.
okay. Halliard.
Yes.
When he's talking to her, he admits he was jealous of Gudrid from breaking free from Halfdan, and that he expressed his true desire. So I just love it. I just love that we get this great growth for him.
Yeah.
And we see him becoming a man not to please his father, but a man to please himself.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and to see, like, not only was he jealous of Gudrid, he was also inspired by her
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
everything he did, and I loved like to see him, yeah, just go for all of that. It was amazing. But when he returned to Iceland, Ylva mistook him for Halfdan at first, and I thought that was interesting because I think the Sigurd from like book 8 or 9 would have taken that as a compliment. He would have been happy to be mistaken for his father. But
Oh,
now, like, his response here was just kind of, well, he didn't really seem amused at all for being mistaken as Halfdan in that instance. So I just thought that was just a fun little sign of his growth, I think, after that point, which I really enjoyed.
yeah. I didn't think about that, but you're absolutely right. He would have been so stoked if someone had called him the spitting image of his father.
Uh-huh.
But not so much now. Not
Right.
so much now.
Yeah. And then, he came and spoke his mind in front of his father at the harbor. That was
Right. That
such a
takes a
good
lot of
scene.
guts.
It really does. And it reminded me of Olmar's moment when he talked to his brother and his mother. Yeah, just standing up to your family members who for all of your life have been so, well, kind of oppressive in a sense. It's a great thing.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, Omar and Sigurd are great examples of that. Different characters, and you know,
Right.
I wouldn't say they're the same personality, but they definitely reach a certain, adulthood, manhood
Mm.
that, well, in the case of Omar, definitely his father wasn't able to reach. Halfdan is a little more complicated than that. A little less cut and dry, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think Sigurd's found a way to be happy without relying on his parents, which
Mm.
is like you said, a great moment for him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't care about inheriting his father's riches. He just wants to be free and shape his own future. And that's just, I love it so much.
Start living for what he wants. Yeah,
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
The chain fight and conversation that he has with his father.
Mm.
Oh gosh, I think
Oh,
it's so good because it's debate where Halfdan brings all these important points up about the limited resources and whatnot, but
mm.
then Sigurd just tries to bring him in reality. Like, I've been to the mainland. It's not possible. Like,
Right?
they will steamroll over us.
Yeah.
Uh, so I and then just the fight and how uh, Sigurd takes him down. Like, it's just very well done.
It's so good. Oh my God, I love it for, like, so it's not just a physical battle. it was also obviously like a verbal battle at the same time. Like, and Sigurd just knocked down point after point that Halfdan tried to make, and like at the end of it, he says, "Father, this country has not waged war with another in over 100 years. What wealth could be greater than that?"
Yeah.
And like he said that basically at the same time he said that as when he like physically defeated his father. But I think delivering that line also won him the battle on the verbal battle front as well. So like he won on both those battles, and yeah, it was a brilliant scene.
Agreed. Fast forward, and now he's married with a grandchildren. It's wonderful. Well, not grandchildren, with a child. Excuse me. So it's wonderful.
Yes. Oh, no, he has grandchildren already.
Great grandchildren.
Yeah,
we fast forwarded quite a bit.
But it's awesome seeing them return to Iceland there. And actually, something I thought was a cool little detail was that the ship that Sigurd left Iceland with when he set off to bring Gudrid back. It like on the sail there was an image of this the chain circle, like a circle of a chain, just forming a circle shape. But when he returned in this book with Halyard and their son, the sail on the ship had an altered design. Like it was similar. It had like a circle of a chain, similarly to the previous one, but it also had another circle, like a chain circle within that one, which was connected to the outer chain circle, kind of as if though one of the chains was kind of restricting the other in a sense, which I think could symbolize his new pacifist mentality. Or at least that's how I'm interpreting that. I don't know if that's exactly how it's supposed to be, but I think that's pretty neat.
Interesting.
He uses one chain to hold down the other so that it cannot inflict harm, basically. And then, there was this brief little chat between Thorfinn and Sigurd after he came back there. It really wasn't long at all, but I just thought it was such a nice little moment that they shared there.
Right.
Because, I mean, at this point, they have both grown into such brilliant characters. And even though it was just a short scene, it was still really impactful for me just because of how amazing those two characters are, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I liked how they're talking to each other as if they're not lifelong, but longtime friends.
Right.
Instead, I mean, previously they, Sigurd was hunting him down. So it's nice to see that they've reached this moment where they're just like, hey, how's life? Oh, going pretty good. Oh, great.
Yeah.
You become a great person. Oh, you too. So it's great to see that interaction.
It really is. Love it. Was that all on Sigurd?
Yes.
Cool. Then let's move on to Cordelia next. Thorkel's genes are strong in her.
Very strong.
but she was born and raised in Ireland, so not really with Thorkel, which makes sense. He is not that kind of guy who would be a present dad. But well, before we get into really anything else about her, I just want to mention how happy I was about Helga's early kind of understanding and acceptance of Cordelia being a girl. Like, obviously, being transgender wasn't as widely accepted 1,000 years ago as it is nowadays. So I think it's just good to see how respectful these characters are about it in this book here. But even more than that, I guess it's great also to see how brave Cordelia is to be able to be that open about that in this time period when very few people, I think, had the guts really to come out like that about these sorts of things, just because of how society was really against them, even more so than today.
Well, she I think she had held it back for a while.
Yeah, I think, especially at least during her slave days, I think she has been. Yeah,
she was trying to hide it, but obviously it was getting too much because she couldn't handle being in the in the men's quarters.
Right.
So I like that, like you said, Helga quickly understood, and that she was comfortable enough to open to them, and that's the key. Being comfortable.
Yes.
That does take bravery just to open up. In general, I do agree, but I think it helps that she had that safe environment and people that supported her, especially when Halfdan came back. And I mean, he wasn't really a jerk about it. I think it's just what his, like I said, the mentality back then. But I respect that how Thorfinn was like, no, her name's Cordelia, or whatever he said, like something along those lines. Like they totally respected what she wanted to be. Although I will say it is very interesting that we got, or I wasn't expecting this sort of revelation that Thorkill had a son or a child, but now they're slave, and just I guess what I'm saying is we had expected Thorkill to like come into, not expected, we wanted Thorkill to go to Vinland and just throw away his life. But in a way, we are kind of getting Thorkill into the story through his daughter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So precisely, Cordelia is coming with him to Vinland. So, yeah, Thorkell's blood is joining them. And something that I didn't really think about on my first read through, but that I sort of, well, that I did think of on my second one is that Cordelia and Thorfinn are related. Like.
Oh, true.
Like I think that, I don't know, for me it felt like a hard thing to, or like an easy thing to miss perhaps, but I did think about it randomly when I read it the second time, and I was like, I guess that's pretty interesting. They're sort of like cousins, or like once removed or something like that, or like their grandfathers are wait, Thorfinn's grandfather is brothers with Cordelia's father.
Correct.
So I think that's kind of neat. But anyway, I love the way Thorkill was drawn in Cordelia's backstory. Like that's how she envisions him.
It kind of reminded me of Jafar's genie version from Aladdin.
Oh,
it kind of reminded me of that.
That's fair. Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I mean that backstory was really sad. Gudrid's face after Cordelia was done telling her whole backstory, like that was literally my face as well after I had seen that whole thing. But yeah, it's so good. It was also good.
Do you think her mother is around anymore, or did she get lost at sea for good?
Yeah, I did think about that a little bit, but I think I kind of settled on believing that she is dead.
Yeah. I don't know where else she'd be or how she'd pop up again. So.
Yeah.
Unless somehow she ends up in Vinland, which would be really, really, really weird and strange.
Yeah.
It makes sense that we just don't see her, and that she did end up getting lost at sea.
Yeah. And it kind of also makes some amount of sense, I think, also for Cordelia to have been the only survivor, just because she is physically, like, incredibly fit, kind of, more so than most people. Mm-hmm. So I think she has maybe, I guess, potentially a better chance at surviving than most other people would. But yeah, then at the end of the book here, seeing how happy Cordelia was when she was gifted that dress from Ylva, that honestly got me way more emotional than I thought I would get both times when I read this. You could just see how happy she got for getting that garb, and like, oh my gosh, it got me so emotional. It was such a nice moment. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a nice gift.
Yeah, so nice. Yeah, I'm super excited to see more of Cordelia's character as we move forward here. Anything else on her?
Oh, I think that's all I got.
All right, then let's talk about Halfdan. Then he's like such a softie in certain ways.
Yeah,
that we see in this.
He's such a softie
in this book. Yeah, like
he's mean and angry, and I hate everything.
Yeah,
and then deep down he's pretty sentimental.
He really is. Yeah, and I guess that was kind of hinted at in book 8 a little bit.
It was.
Like, I think maybe a couple instances, but the one that comes to mind for me right now is when his wife Astrid was, she questioned, like, well, why did you marry me if the only reason to marry somebody is for, well, kind of financial gain or stuff like that. And he couldn't really respond to that, indicating that he actually married for love, supposedly. Mm-hmm. But here we got even more. Like, he, the first we see of him, he's gazing out into the ocean. Which is supposedly something he's done a lot since Sigurd left, and obviously that is a strong indicator that he misses his son, or he has been missing his son over that whole time. So that was very sweet.
Yeah, and he was pretty willing to let his son come on shore,
Right. Yeah.
Despite the promise that he made,
Mm.
almost to the fact that he was going to be quick to forgive him. And I think, I totally think that's the case. Not that he would say it, acknowledge it.
Right.
But he says, no, just stop this silly business. Get on shore. Come here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But then when Sigurd refuses and says, I want, or he says it's his true desire, his face, his switch to like that frightening face was so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, I remember after our discussion, we saw the cover of the book.
Right.
And we were like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Halfdan does not look happy.
Yeah.
And I guess we were overblown. We, in our fears and predictions a little bit. But it's true that he did go like scary mode and, did everything in his power to keep Sigurd there. But again, in reality, he's a softy. He cares about his son, and it's not, he's not this evil, terrible dude. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yes, like some of the things he's done, you could argue are not great.
Right.
But it's his view of the world, and in the end, he doesn't really. I said aside from his slaves, like obviously that's not a good thing.
Uh-huh.
But he doesn't really treat people terribly. But he treats them as if they can't do anything by themselves. Like they need a master, if you will.
True. Right. That's true. So yeah, I mean, he definitely has been getting more and more nuance kind of for each book when he has appeared.
Yeah.
Sort of like we had Volume 1, then Volume 8, and now, or Book 1, Book 8, and now Book 12. And it's been great to follow along with that, I think. It was also great to see how proud he was of Sigurd.
Right.
Even though Sigurd opposed him. Or maybe rather he was proud of him because Sigurd opposed him, I suppose. But just seeing that and how he was, I think he said at 2 points, he was like, well, someone said something positive about Sigurd, and he was like, of course, he's my son. And it's like,
I love that.
That's
love it.
So nice, yeah.
Well, it just makes me think that the whole, I guess, tying up his son and, forbidding him from leaving, it was almost as if a test to see where Sigurd's convictions truly lie. Like if he was actually going to go and fulfill his desires, or if he was going to, be half-hearted about it. And
right.
And then his son like beating him and leaving was kind of proof to him that his son was ready. But he's like, of course he is. He's my son. That kind of
exactly.
That kind of thing. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was his true intention.
No, I could absolutely see that. Yeah, and then he was the one to host Thorfinn's and Gudrid's wedding feast.
Right.
Honestly, I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah.
But that was such a sweet gesture. And then he seriously offered Thorfinn to become his heir. Like,
yeah.
Wow. That was also a big surprise.
Yeah, he was all over the place.
He was.
I think a lot was happening to him emotionally, so
yeah. Yeah, true.
These drastic measures is how he copes.
That is true. And I guess at that point in time, he was without a child or heir or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Drastic measures indeed.
But he eventually got his grandson, so
Yes, exactly.
Everything goes to him.
Oh my gosh, he was overjoyed to see his grandson.
Oh my gosh, so happy.
That was so sweet.
I've never seen a happier scowl than that. Like, that is a scowl of pure joy.
Yeah, and I also love the fact that nobody else heard the child say "grandpa," only he heard it. So it makes me wonder: did the child actually say it,
No.
or was it just his imagination?
No, he did not. The baby did not say that.
Yeah,
he probably just said something like two
Gaga
sounds that
or
sounded like that sounded like grandpa, and then he just went with it.
Yes,
because he's a total softie.
Yeah. I love that.
I did love that.
But is that all on Halfdan?
I believe so.
All right, then let's talk about Hild next. Gudrid starts to notice some changes in Hild here. As she's taking more initiative on her own to help out the team and stuff like that. So that's a great change.
Absolutely. I think, gosh, let me get the name right real quick. Tierlach? Is that how you say his name on our Discord?
Oh, Tierlach.
Tier,
Or yeah, I guess I
Tierlach?
think maybe so.
Tier,
Yeah.
Tierlach? Forgive me if I say it wrong, and you can correct me in the comments whenever you listen to if you do end up listening. But you were mentioning that, oh, I wonder if Hild will actually contribute to the voyage or the group. That'd be great if she's the engineer. And yeah, it turns out that's exactly what she's doing. She's
Yeah.
helping them build an oar, or not an oar. What was it? It was
Rudder.
rudder. Yeah. So and doing various other things to help the group. So
Yeah.
she still has this goal of being the one to kill Thorfinn, or well, I guess it's more so keeping an eye on him right now.
Right.
But at the same time, she's pulling her weight and really contributing to this voyage. So that's going to be a great asset for sure.
Absolutely.
I wonder what she thought about Thorfinn getting married. Like the relationship, maybe she wasn't. I don't know. Maybe she didn't care, or maybe she wasn't keen on. But the marriage and seeing him just kind of leading a normal life, like what does she think about this 2 years or so after? It's probably more than 2 years after first re-meeting Thorfinn again.
Right.
And I'm not talking romantically. Like
no, I understand.
Obviously, that whole thing is not applicable.
No, it's all in Gudrid's head.
Yeah, Gudrid is just worried for no reason.
Yeah.
I really think Hild could care less about that. But is she upset that he's found a form of happiness, or he's living a good life?
Right.
I wonder.
Exactly. Yeah. I've also been wondering, what's going on inside her head exactly. Like, because a lot of the time she is just, this strong silent type, and, we don't really get to know her thoughts too much. Although there was the part in this book when she did kind of speak up, and we understand that she really didn't like it when Thorfinn spoke about, the sword's magic power that makes people want to use it and stuff like that. And so I thought it was nice to see her take action there and like speak her mind there. And I understand her totally. Like, I think her emotion there is totally fair. However, I also don't think Thorfinn really meant for it to sound like he was blaming everything on the sword. Like, like that wasn't his intention for it to come off that way. But I still understand her, like why how she would interpret it that way and stuff like that. And to get upset for that, I think makes sense as well. Like she's in her rights.
Yeah, I mean, obviously she's in a state where she is struggling to fully forgive Thorfinn. So saying something like that would definitely make her upset. But at that point, Thorfinn was just waxing poetic. Of course, he's not saying that the sword is the one that's talking, and the sword is the one that did it, not me.
Right? Yeah. Right. I mean, I understand both of them in that scene.
Absolutely.
I just wish for the situation to become better between the two of them.
Right. I want Hild to move on, to not hold this grudge, and I know that's really hard to say, but Thorfinn had a terrible thing happen to him too, and yet he's been trying to move on, and he's done terrible things. So it's a little different, and he became a monster in and of itself, but he eventually moved on from his revenge and started to seek peace. I think Hild needs to get there, and I'm hoping that this voyage will help her do that. And part of what's helped Thorfinn is maybe getting a family. And I'm not saying Hild needs to do that. Like, she can be an independent woman if she wants. Like, I don't want to imply that you need a relationship, but maybe her family could be just the village that they create, or I don't know, just I guess finding a grander purpose. Maybe that's what it is, and maybe that's being the engineer for their village. But hey, if she wants to find a family too, that's totally fine with me. But
absolutely.
I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. It's also fine if she doesn't, because she's never really had that desire to begin with.
Right. Or, well, I guess we don't know. Like, again, like we don't know much about her, like, inner feelings.
Well, in her backstory, like, they were saying, oh, you got to get you got to start thinking about getting married or something like that. And she's like, oh,
True.
I don't want, Dad, I don't have to do that. He's like, no, you can just stay around and chill with the boys or something like that.
Right. No, yeah, no, but like, okay, yeah, that is a good point. Although, to be fair, people do change, especially over
Yes,
those years, like from childhood into adulthood. Like,
you're right.
people can change a lot. But that is still a good point, though.
I have one more thing about Hild. There's a moment where Gudrid noticed that she laughed at a certain point,
Yeah.
but it was kind of like a fleeting one, like it was surprising.
Yeah.
And I wondered like why? Why did she laugh? Because it didn't feel like what was said was particularly funny. I'm gonna go back real quick.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so I mean maybe it actually is a little comedic. Where, what's his name?
Ivar?
Ivar. He's like reasoning with Thorfinn. And he's like, yeah, I totally see. It's like that. Oh my gosh, you haven't seen SpongeBob. There's this meme where Patrick is talking to Man Ray, and Man Ray's like, look, I have this wallet. In this wallet is your picture. Yep. I found this ID in this wallet. Yep. You know, if this ID was in your wallet, then this must be your wallet. Sounds good to me. Then take it. It's not my wallet. It's like you probably don't understand, but people who have seen SpongeBob or that meme, because it's a quite famous meme, you know what I'm talking about. That's exactly what this interaction is. Like, he's like, you understand this all right? Yep. So we need to bring a sword. Nope.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
Anyway, I probably should have saved that discussion, but the point is, he gets frustrated and he pulls out his sword, and I guess that is kind of a funny moment where they're holding him back.
Yeah. Precisely. I can see that also as a bit comedic.
So, is that why she laughed? Like, did she find that humorous?
I mean, I could see that, and I think that could also be seen as another little sign of her character development. Kind of,
yeah.
Like we know that she has been starting to warm up to the people and helping out and stuff like that. So like being relaxed enough to to be able to laugh at things, that might be a sign of that too.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. So, I would love to see Hild laugh in the next book. Like, actually like see her just genuinely laugh and smile and just kind of not be a downer.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you could be whatever you want, but I don't know.
No, but I mean, I want her to be happy,
Yes.
To find
happiness.
Find like a satisfying lifestyle or whatever,
Yeah.
Very well. Let's move on to Bug Eyes. I love how he really seemed to like the fashion down in Miklagard. He brought clothes from there. That was nice.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't want to go with him to Vinland. And he also doesn't want Leif to go there. And he was pretty firm about that. Because Leif is old and he is injured, which I think it's fair. I think it's totally fair for Bug Eyes to feel that way.
Yeah.
About basically his father, to be, to not want his father who is old and injured to be in dangerous situations like that. I think is ultimately totally fair.
I can't say I'm surprised that he doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
But I still wonder if he's gonna end up going anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe we didn't see him on one of the ships, and maybe he ended up just somehow there for whatever reasons that we'll figure out later, or maybe he really is staying behind. I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, I do think he was able to convince Leif to stay in retirement.
Yeah, like I kind of hope he was able to convince him to do that. Although, if for some reason Leif does go along, then surely Bug Eyes will too. But
yeah, for sure.
But I could also see. I mean, I could also see possibly that Bug Eyes would go along without Leif anyway, for whatever reason. Something will have to happen between now and then. But yeah, because I don't know. I just feel like for the story, like it would be a shame to leave Bug Eyes behind, and like to leave him out of the story.
Yeah.
So I do hope he joins eventually anyway.
Yeah, I can see him getting a guilty conscience and ended up joining them.
Right. Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah. Anything more on him?
No.
Then let's talk about Ivar. very stubborn about keeping his sword, and I thought it was really like cool. Like he is like he is all about his sword. Like his sword is like his identity, kind of. And I loved how that was also reflected on his character design. How he has earrings that are shaped like swords. So I thought that was kind of funny, but. Like he would rather keep his sword than get a chance to be free from Halfdan and get his own farm. Like that's how much he loves his sword.
He's got some interesting markings, and so does his friends.
Oh yeah, like
are those
the face tattoos? Or?
Are those tattoos, or
I
are
think
they?
So.
Oh, okay, cool. I wasn't sure like exactly the the cultural significance of that. Like, was it face tattoos or just like war paint, or I don't know like what.
Right. I mean, I guess I don't know for sure, but I'm quite sure that tattoos were a thing in the Viking culture. So I just assumed it was tattoos.
Gotcha.
But he and his guys are smuggling swords onto the ship anyway, even though they aren't supposed to. And
yeah,
I will say I'm actually pretty happy about this because I think it's gonna make for some great drama and great development further down the line. I mean, it's really exciting. I'm just super excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's gonna be some sort of drama behind it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating that they, weren't able to obey orders or whatnot. But you're right. It's going to be an entertaining series of events, I feel.
Yeah, exactly.
I just really just hope it doesn't end up they provoke the natives in some way. That would be so frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, there's reason to worry.
Petter's like, yeah, that would be so frustrating. Oh, I hope it happens. Come on.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there is reason to worry about that. I think that's definitely something that sadly may have a good risk of happening.
Mm-hmm.
But come on, it's gonna be juicy.
It can't be easy, right?
No, it can't. I honestly think there's still like, I think it's been stated that this arc that we're probably like starting here, I think it's been announced like that is the final arc somehow, I think. But I somehow feel like there's like either that's not true entirely or it's going to be a longer arc than the other ones, or like I don't know. I feel like there's still a lot to get resolved and to be worked out and to kind of to get figured out. Maybe.
You think so? I feel like 2 or 3 books, which would be 4 or 6 volumes, could end it.
Fair. Actually, yeah, like 6 more volumes. Yeah, you're right. That could probably work, actually.
I mean, look, if he goes for a pretty long time, sure. I mean, we're going to be here till like 2026 or whatever, but...
I wouldn't mind.
It'll be great.
It will be. Moving on to the next character?
Yeah.
Then let's talk a little bit about Einar. I really only have one little thing about him, and it's a question, sort of, but did I miss anything about Einar's goddess/guardian deity?
I'm with you too. Like, I was like, what is in that box?
Yeah, like I didn't miss anything there, did I? I don't think so, but just wanted to double check with you.
Hey, maybe we both missed it. I mean, my first thought was, is that something to do with Arnheid? I don't know.
Ooh, that's an interesting thought.
But what would you put in the box?
What's in the box?
Yeah. What's in the box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we haven't missed it, or like I'm gonna assume that we haven't missed it. Although if we have, please let us know in the YouTube comments or in our Discord server.
Please.
But for now, I'm gonna assume that we haven't missed anything, and that this is just supposed to be a little bit of a mystery for now. But I'm excited to see whatever it might be.
Another thought I had was like wheat, but like why would they have to be gentle with the wheat? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then it could be like a statue, a bear statue, because he is the bear professor.
Oh yeah.
That one is less likely.
I like it though. Anyway, do you have anything else on Einar?
No.
He really has been just a sidekick for like a good long while now. Like,
yeah,
nothing really big at all, sadly. But he will be the big wheat guy in Vinland, so hopefully he'll get more of a role. But
I hope he has more of a focus
Yeah.
Or at least more to do in the next arc.
Definitely hope so too. But let's talk a bit about Ylva next. I think she was largely like a comic relief character in this book, and I guess she has been previously as well, to a big extent. But there were some funny moments, like well, I think one kind of subtle funny moment that I thought was during the wedding. There's a panel of her just nervously shaking hands with Halfdan, and I just thought that was so funny to see that.
Well, I just also like her just worry for 2 years that Halfdan was going to come and wage war on her family.
Yeah.
And so she was just paranoid about it. I loved it.
Yeah, and they start shooting arrows at Thorfinn's ship. Yeah, that's rough.
After hearing Cordelia's story, she started like suddenly throwing out burns at Halfdan,
Yeah, that was so funny.
I was so confused that it was happening. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, like who is saying this? Yeah.
And then you see the panel, like, oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, I love it. Then let's talk briefly about Orm next, the guy who Sigurd has been referring to as Fatty this whole time.
Oh, okay.
And because we learned that his name is Orm.
We finally got their names.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. The whole group. But I mean, Orm is like the main guy out of them, obviously.
Yeah.
And what I think is a little funny is that Orm in Swedish, and I assume also Danish and Norwegian, means snake. So yeah, that's kind of funny, especially since we already had another character who was referred to as Snake.
Yeah.
But Snake was that guy's fake name, and this guy's actual name is Orm. So like, it's kind of turned around. But and actually, quick little trivia on that word. That is actually a word that does, or a changed version of it, as as times have changed, exists in the English language today. Actually, a word from when the Danish Vikings were worm, exactly. Yeah. Which is funny. Obviously, it doesn't mean the same thing these days.
No.
But obviously, there's a similarity. Obviously, snakes and worms, and how that's a remnant. One of the many remnants from the time when the Danish Vikings occupied England. That's kind of fun, or well, not fun maybe, but it's interesting.
Fun.
Occupations, fun.
Oh, great.
But yeah. Anything else on him though?
Nah, just I just noted that we finally got their names, and
yeah,
they're
good friends. As
I've said every time, yeah, they're good friends, good bros.
Great, the best bros. Then a little bit about Leif Erikson, and the only little thing I got is really a little bit of a shout out to myself for a prediction, a little very, very kind of sort of meaningless prediction I made. I think last time I said that I think he's gonna walk with a cane, which he literally does on the
I totally missed that.
He does on the first panel we see him. He's coming with a cane.
You predicted that? Wow. Hey, I'll applaud that. I'll applaud that.
Thank you. But yeah, that's all I got though.
I have nothing. I think I kind of already stated.
Fair, right. Oh yeah, we talked about him on Bug Eyes. Then, if we have anything on Carly, I just want to shout out to Carly. He speaks now.
Yeah.
And he's so adorable. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. He has interesting sleeping positions.
Yeah, he does.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's cute to see him grown up like that.
It really is. It's going to be great to maybe see him grow some more. Well, I don't have anything on Halyard, but do you?
Of course I do.
Awesome. Okay, great. Yeah, I mean...
Who do you take me for? Or should I say Hal? Like, that's her name.
Yes.
Her part is somewhat brief, but I love her and Sigurd's friendship, their relationship.
Yes.
It was something that I did not expect to get expounded on at all. I thought, I did kind of have the suspicion that Sigurd would go back to her and then they would, kind of be happy and that kind of situation, because obviously Gudrid was not going to go back, marry Sigurd, right? Like, come on. Or stay married, I guess.
Right.
But this kind of added an extra layer to it, into the whole situation of who she is and why she cares so deeply for Siggy. So I like that.
Yeah.
But I felt bad for her before, but she got her man in the end.
Yeah, I love it.
I love how she loves him even without the family wealth. That's true love, like that.
For sure.
Her scary face when he was describing like Gudrid, like how she was free, and she's like, "How dare you speak about that woman?"
Yeah, with all those sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the end, she kind of like pressured him to call her his treasure, and I I mean, look, she was helping him, and she's waited for him. I think she deserves that much.
Yeah, and plus, I think it also became. I think I will say in the moment I was like slightly doubtful about whether or not Sigurd felt the same way about her. But I think,
really?
yeah, like a little bit. But I thought it became clear like pretty shortly thereafter, and especially when they came back with the child and everything. I think it became pretty clear that they were both in a great place and that their love was mutual. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it was great, and just seeing them together and having that baby boy, like, it was so precious.
Totally, yeah. Great.
And just a brief shout out to the cover. It's so simple. But I just like how they're like cheering Siggy on.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. There's just something cute and adorable about that.
It's really cute, yeah.
That's all I got.
Cool. Then moving into the final bit. Anything we got on predictions?
I wrote down how would like to run farm in Vinland. What does that mean? It's like I had a stroke. I'm so sorry.
Oh, wait. That is funnier than I thought it would be.
I remember now. It's a typo. It's a typo in the book.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
It's when I'm going to it right now. Thorfinn is trying to convince Halfdan to free Cordelia. Yeah. So he's explaining like how it's you can't really tend fields here in Iceland is terrible, and Thorfinn's like, Halfdan, how would like to run farm in Vinland?
Oh no.
So funny. It's such an unfortunate typo. I mean, it just sounds like nonsense.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm seeing it now too. Yeah. No, they just missed a word.
Yeah, just one word.
Yeah, gosh.
It sounds like he's having a stroke. I'm sorry. It's not that funny, and yet I'm losing my mind. I'm so sorry.
It is. And especially the way he, like, seeing his face along with it too, like he's all confident and everything. Like, how would like to run farm in Vinland? Oh. Well,
so funny.
I get at least it worked.
Yeah, he was convinced. I think it's also the fact that I thought that I wrote it down and that was my thought. I was like, what did I do? Okay. Moving on.
Yeah.
Will Mother stay alive? I think I've asked this quite a few times.
Yeah, you have been mentioning this.
I'm adamant about this. No, I'm surprised she's been alive because every time that she was brought up to Thorfinn, it's like, oh, your mother is not doing well. And,
I mean, lately we haven't really heard that though, right?
Like, no, not lately. Not lately. Like, maybe it's because Thorfinn came back and now she's like, oh my gosh, I'm better.
Right.
I doubt that's the case, but
I mean, I don't know, but I mean, maybe she's just doing better physically, health wise.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I guess I brought that up because could that be a reason why he leaves Vinland? Just go back, but then what? I don't know. Maybe that's not a good enough reason. I mean, like go to the funeral or see the last moments. Like, yes, but he would just go back to Vinland after that, right? I don't know.
Right. I mean, at least based on how things are looking right now, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although well, yeah, as we talked about, and as he mentioned, like people in Vinland, probably him included, will probably be making trips back to Iceland from time to time, regardless. Like for other reasons, perhaps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess remains to be seen. One thing I thought about in the last scene, like when they're embarking, is that there's a couple characters that we don't really see there, like whether on the harbor or on the ships, or well, I guess namely it's Leif and Bug Eyes. We don't see either of them, and that got me thinking that they're probably in Greenland at the moment, and that maybe we'll meet them there, like on the way to Vinland. Like they'll stop by, talk to Leif and Bug Eyes maybe in Greenland if that's where they are right now, and potentially for Bug Eyes to join them then, because I agree. Those two were missing.
A good point.
Then
I think somebody convinces Bug Eyes to go with them, whether it's Leif or maybe Carly guilt trips him. It's like, you're not coming with us?
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
exactly.
Hate you, stupid kid. So that's a good point. I totally forgot about where they were. So Bug Eyes will come in the next book. That's a great prediction.
Yes.
I mean, whether he actually joins them or not is up in the air. But I think he still has more to give.
Yeah. Because he has been growing as well. Like I've been enjoying. Like I wasn't crazy about him for quite a while, but really the past couple of books, I've really started liking his character a lot.
I agree. I'm right there too. I think about I don't know if this was the last time that Iceland Greenland people were in Vinland, but I do recall that there were a interaction with the native people got violent at one point. And I think that's what happened to Gudrid's first husband. Like he died in Vinland, right?
Exactly. Yes, that was mentioned.
So I worry that the native people will be like, "Hey, we remember these guys. They're not so nice." And that they'll start out being hostile. I mean, they have every right to, because they, from their previous experiences, learn from past mistakes, I guess. So that may end up being a hurdle that they have to get over.
Yeah.
And convince the native people that no, they're here for peace. Then of course, Ivar's gonna mess it all up, I guess. But
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's very exciting though. And in terms of how long it's gonna take for the book for them to get to Vinland, like in the next book, I'm gonna go guess that they'll reach it in the second volume of the next book, like in volume 26. It's gonna be or maybe that's too slow. Maybe they will reach it in the first book or the first volume of the next book. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it'd be a great ending point for the first volume. They land on Vinland. It's like, this is Vinland.
Dude. Actually, I'm going to get behind you on that. I love that idea.
I could be wrong though.
No, but it would be great. It would be a great feeling.
It does make you wonder, what are they gonna fill in with that whole volume of stuff? I guess Bug Eyes will have maybe his moment in Greenland.
Right. Yeah, I mean, staying for a couple chapters in Greenland would be nice, actually, to see that geographic area for a bit. Plus, I think maybe a couple chapters just on the ocean, like seeing what that's like,
What if I mean, that's a good point. But what if in Greenland we also meet Gudrid's family? Like, what ever happened to them? Like, sure, Gudrid married into
that's right.
the Leif family, but what about her, her sister?
True.
Or was her sister? I can't remember. She had siblings.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but yeah, exactly. That could be nice. Yeah. Yeah, I just keep forgetting that she is from Greenland here, because the historical Gudrid was from Iceland, as far as I've understood it.
Oh, wait a minute. So wait, am I wrong?
No, you're right. In the manga, she is from Greenland, or at least it's implied as much. But yeah, we're starting the Vinland Saga for real now.
Oh.
Have you seen the cover art for volume 25, like the Japanese volume 25, which would be like the next thing coming for us?
Dude, no, I haven't.
Would you like me to show you?
Sure. Let's do it.
I'll send the picture in the chat real quick.
Oh, I'm excited now.
And I'm hoping this will be the cover that they use for book 13. It looks like this.
Oh my gosh!
It's so cute, right?
Oh, spoilers! Freaking Bug Eyes is there.
Yeah, I know. It's maybe, or I mean, maybe it's just Greenland. Maybe this image is from Greenland. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's a picture of like a lot of characters. Like we got basically the whole cruise there, including Bug Eyes and well, yeah, everyone else that went on the ships with them, basically. And there's someone with a hood that I don't know who it is, like to the right.
Who the crap is that?
I don't know, but maybe. I mean, yeah, I'm sure we'll find out in the next book or in the next volume.
I don't know if I should laugh or feel sad that Cordelia is got a cut off there.
Yeah, right. I know. That is. I mean, it's humorous, but it's also sad.
Okay, that's interesting. This kind of does end the dark brown hair debate for Gudrid.
Oh yeah.
Because here it's clearly just dark brown.
I'm sorry, James.
Oh, it's fine.
I know how much you like black hair.
Oh, I think it's a bit of a cop out to give her dark brown hair instead of the black. Because I looked it up, and Nordic people can have black hair. Like,
I mean, sure.
Like
I guess it's just very rare,
hair.
though. Mm.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of was hoping that'd be the case, but it's okay.
Fair. I mean, I'm happy because I like brown hair probably just as much as you like black hair. So
in certain places, like her hair is darker. It's kind of like a lighting thing, and in some cases, like for the dark brown hair, depending on where the light is shined on their hair, it can be like, look lighter or darker. You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah, you're right.
I guess it's that kind of a situation, but it's still just dark brown hair. So I will admit defeat, and that is fine.
All good. Very well. Do you have any closing words or thoughts on this book or the series as a whole?
Yeah, gosh, I don't know where to put this on my list. It's toe to toe with Attack on Titan for me, and allow me just to say that Attack on Titan had so many mind-blowing moments and had a satisfying ending, and there's just so many highs in that story that I don't know, does Vinland Saga top that? I have been thinking about that so hard. Vinland Saga just overall is maybe consistently a great, but it's hard to compare because they're two like different takes on storytelling, where Vinland Saga, yes, has a lot of action, but it's also very philosophical. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that has to do with Yukimura's writing, of course, but I value its take on worldviews and, the art and everything like that. But then I also value Attack on Titan's like storytelling and the reveals and the character arcs and the tragedy of it all. So it's hard for me to say one is better than the other. Like one day I could say, yeah, Vinland is the best manga I've read. But then I can turn around and be like, no, Attack on Titan, it's better. Like it's hard. So that's where I'm at, and I think in a previous discussion you've put Attack on Titan lower on yours.
Yeah. I think Vinland Saga surpassed Attack on Titan by like volume 16 or so for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think last time after the 22nd volume, I had a hard time choosing between whether or not I liked Vinland Saga or Kaguya-sama Love is War more. Like those two were kind of fighting for my first spot then. But after volume 24 here, or like the first 12 books, Vinland Saga has hands down become my number one manga.
It's that good. Yeah.
For me, yeah. So yeah, I am just so happy with it. It's so good.
All I'm gonna say is, if there was a kiss scene with Thorfinn and Gudrid, it would have been number one without a doubt. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna say. I said it. And I don't regret it.
So when that happens, if that happens,
and if he nails it, and
right, fair. It. That's fair. Yeah, it's gotta be well executed too.
Yeah. I'm such a dork.
Well, it's good. It's good. You gotta embrace all of that.
But it's amazing. Like, the story has been amazing, and just so many elements to it that I adore.
Absolutely. And even though it's gonna be rough now having to wait for book 13, I'm still very happy that we're caught up with it now. Caught up with the English physical books at least. Mm-hmm. So yeah, feels great. And from here on out, we're gonna be starting something else. pretty soon, since we don't have a manga to be catching up on anymore. So I hope our listeners are looking forward to whatever that's going to be. I mean, we know what it's going to be, but you guys don't know yet. But yeah, that's exciting. And with that all said, if you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel, Umami Manga, on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about volumes 25 and 26. Bye-bye!
See you later! See you later. In December. Probably.
Yes, I think that's possibly it. Or at least Amazon says so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll have to see.
Amazon never lies.